Hi, okay. I am back with another book review, and this time we're talking about Fourth Wing. Clearly, you can tell that I have matched my eye look to the book, or I've tried my very best at the least. But yeah, I've tried to match the look to the book, and let's get into it. So, I have been seeing hype around Fourth Wing for months now. Like, honestly, months. And I'm really late to the train. But to be honest, I am quite early by my standards. I'm usually years late, this time around only months. So, I'm okay with it. Initially, I will be honest, I wasn't really into it because I've never really read any books with dragons. I think except a little bit of Throne of Glass and Goblet of Fire. So I was really iffy about it, but the hype was so much that I was like, I need to check it out for myself. People were calling it the best fantasy of the year, and I was like, I need to see. So I read it and I loved it. Do I think it's the best fantasy of the year? No. But I think it's a pretty good book, and I think it has a lot of potential to become one of the best series, one of the best fantasy slash dystopian new adult fantasy books. So without further ado, let's get into the discussion and start discussing some spoilers. So first and foremost, I think I loved the world building in this the most. Fantasies usually can take a little while for you to like get used to and get really immersed in, because there's so much you're learning and so much you need to understand at first. But this was fairly easy. Like within the first few chapters, I knew, I was like, okay, there we go, this is the story. So it was really easy to get into, which I think is great. I think this is a great introductory book for people who want to read fantasies but don't know what to start with. This is a great book to start with. I actually ended up loving the dragons, which I was iffy about, and now I'm considering reading some more dragon fantasies. So if you guys know any more, because I don't, please recommend them below, any good ones, because I would love to explore this side of fantasy more. I loved the simplicity of the world building, and yet it was making so much sense. Everything felt rightly placed. The book felt like it was well paced, and I loved all the characters as well. This year, I think I've read quite a lot of books where, apart from like the main cast, everyone else seems really lacking in personality. Um, so there's very few books like this and a couple others where I'm able to place each character individually, with their own personality and their own arc and their own agendas, and that's really nice to see. I actually enjoyed pretty much every character in the book, even the unlikable ones. Like, I feel like the character work was done very well. Coming to Zayden. Zayden was great, as most other people. I was also like blushing during his scenes, and I was waiting for like them to get together and see how their story progresses. Do I think he is book boyfriend worthy? Personally, not for me. He's great. I love him, don't get me wrong, and I love the romance between them. But he's not really book boyfriend worthy. And I don't know if it's because I read Ignite Me just before this and I was still in my Aaron Warner phase. But yeah, I don't think he cuts the list yet. Who knows? We'll read Iron Flame and we'll see. Like I said, I loved the romance between them. I have marked so many pages which are just filled with their romance, because I was eating up everything, to be honest. And also, it was so easy to read. I think one of my favorite scenes between Violet and Zayden was their fight scene. A couple of the fight scenes, actually. One where she poisoned her opponent too early, and so Zayden was like, I'll do it. And the second, where he was teaching her how to fight, and he especially had that dagger made for her. Yeah, I also loved this entire concept of like the dragons being mated, and hence all four of them or five of them getting clubbed together. I think that was a really interesting concept that we got to play around with. I've also heard a lot of people say that they thought the book was dragged out a little bit. Personally, I did not think so. I felt like every single scene that was in this book was worth it, that it either added or was necessary to the plot line, or it was actually enjoyable and didn't feel like too much of a stretch. So I personally did not think that the book was dragged out. I finished this in one day, um, which is saying a lot because I have ADHD. So if a book gets me to stay in one place for hours, it's good. So yeah, I feel like the plot line in every single scene in this book was justified. My personal opinion. That being said, I do think the book was fairly predictable. I don't know if it's because, well, it's a new adult fantasy, romantasy, but it reads pretty much like a YA novel. So I don't know if it's because of that or because I've just read so many books at this point that I know what kind of twists an author would like to put in. So I was able to predict pretty much everything, including the end, which, spoiler alert, her brother is alive. Granted, I did not realize that until very close to the end, but I was like, oh, he must be alive. That's what the big secret is. So, yeah, I will say if you're well versed with fantasy or like with reading in general and with like plot twists and thrillers and stuff like that, it's fairly easy to predict the entire book. But that being said, I still enjoyed it. There are some books where you can predict the outcome or predict the different turns in a book and you feel like, oh, this isn't interesting enough. But this one, even though I could predict everything, it still left me satisfied. So love that. I loved the end fight with the wyverns, if that's how you say it, and the venom. I don't like to pronounce anything in fantasies. But yeah, I loved the entire scene and how it played out. Honestly, I really liked Liam, and I'll admit it, I cried a little when he died because yeah, I wish it was someone else, not him. So that was actually pretty sad, and then the way everything else unfolded was pretty cool. I'm actually waiting for book 2 so we can get deeper into the lore and deeper into understanding the world and what are the rules here and how it works and how we defeat this and how we start strategizing and working against these now. Coming to the writing style, it was fairly okay. It definitely wasn't bad for sure. I do think it wasn't on the level of most fantasies that I've read, but it wasn't bad. Like I said, it was enjoyable, it was easy to go through. There's not much in terms of writing that stuck out to me, but two phases that stood out to me was one was don't borrow tomorrow's troubles, because yeah, that's, I think that one hit home because that's my tendency with my anxiety. And the other one is there's nothing more sacred than the archives. Even temples can be rebuilt, but books cannot be rewritten. And I think that is special. So yeah, I think those are all my thoughts for this book. I really enjoyed it, and I'm also so glad that I read it right now because today is 10th October. I read it right now, like end of September is when I read the book, and I am currently, it's 10th October, so I'm currently like less than a month away from getting the second book. Hopefully we get this in India. It's not available so far for pre-order or any such thing, so hopefully I can get my hands on it in November, but we'll see. Final verdict, my rating for this is 4.5, purely because it was quite predictable and I think we have a little ways to go before the writing can mature a little bit and the storyline and just the way the characters deal with something can mature a little bit. So yeah, I think I'll probably do a reading vlog for Iron Flame if I get my hands on it. I feel like I want to do a reading vlog for every book, but I can't help it. I want to share my thoughts in that moment, and I wish I could have done that for this book. But nevertheless, I'm glad I finally read this, and I loved it, and I gave it 4.5 stars. And yep, I'll see you guys in my next video. Please like, share, subscribe. It would mean a lot to me because I'm a new channel, and I'm really excited for this journey. So yeah, see ya.